Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a truth that might just change your life if you stay with me until the end. Success is not something you stumble into. It is not a lottery ticket. It is not a coincidence. And it is certainly not luck. Success is built. Success is created through discipline. And if you want to understand why some people rise while others remain stuck, if you want to know the difference between a dreamer and an achiever, then listen closely, because this message might be the turning point you've been waiting for. Most people hope success will happen to them. But hope is not a strategy, luck is not a plan, and wishing is not a tool. The real difference maker is discipline. The ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is waking up when the bed is warm. Discipline is studying when distractions call your name. Discipline is saving when spending feels good. Discipline is practicing when no one is clapping. And here, this discipline is free. It costs you nothing except your excuses. Every successful person you admire, every story that inspires you was built on the same foundation, the simple decision to be consistent, to show up, to improve, to push, to repeat. Not once, not sometimes, but daily. Luck might open a door, but without discipline, you won't even walk through it. Your habits create your future. Your routines shape your results. Your discipline determines your destiny. So today, choose the path that leads to growth. Choose the actions that shape your success. Choose discipline, not because it's easy, but because it works. Remember, success is not luck, it's discipline. And the moment you embrace the truth, your life begins to change. Success is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world. People look at someone who has achieved something great, a successful business, a powerful career, a strong body, a disciplined mindset, and they say, wow, that person is lucky. But what they don't see are the thousands of small habits, the repeated efforts, the consistent actions that built luck brick by brick. Success never arrives by accident. It arrives through the daily habits you commit to long before anyone notices you. Think about the word daily, not weekly, not occasionally, not when you're in the mood. Daily, because it is what you do every day, not what you do once in a while, that shapes who you become. The person who reads for 20 minutes every day will eventually have more knowledge than the person who reads for 5 hours once a year. The person who exercises consistently for 30 minutes daily will become stronger than the one who works out for 3 hours, but only once in a blue moon. The person who practices a skill every day will outperform the one who practices only when inspiration strikes. Life rewards consistency, not intensity. Habits are compound interest. Every small action seems insignificant at first. One page read doesn't make you smart. One workout doesn't make you fit. One disciplined decision doesn't make you successful. But repeat those actions for weeks, months, years, and suddenly you become a completely different person. You gain the knowledge others never bothered to learn. You build the skills others never practiced long enough to master. You develop the strength, mindset, and discipline others only dream about. People call it luck. But that's only because they didn't see the process. They didn't see the late nights. They didn't see the early mornings. They didn't see the sacrifices. They didn't see the routine repeated again and again, even on the days when it wasn't exciting. Success is the result of a private discipline that becomes a public reward. Your habits shape your character. Your habits create your standards. Your habits define your future. And here's the truth, your habits are not neutral. Every habit you practice is either moving you forward or pulling you backward. Scrolling endlessly is a habit. Complaining is a habit. Procrastinating is a habit, just like reading, learning, exercising, planning, and working are habits. The question is not whether you have habits. The question is, are your habits building your future or breaking it? If you want success, don't chase luck. Build discipline. If you want progress, don't wait for motivation. Create routine. If you want transformation, don't wish for it, work for it. Success is not magic. Success is not mystery. Success is habits, repeated with discipline, repeated with intention, repeated without excuses. This is how greatness is created do. There's a myth people love to believe that extraordinary achievers are born different, that they came into this world with some rare talent, special gift, or magical advantage that the rest of us don't have. But the truth is far simpler and far more empowering. Most extraordinary people started as ordinary individuals who made one defining decision: to live with discipline. Discipline is the great equalizer. It doesn't care about your background, your past, your weaknesses, or your limitations. It only cares about the choices you make today. Talent may give you a head start, but discipline controls the finish line. Motivation may get you excited, but discipline keeps you moving. Dreams may inspire you, but only discipline can transform them into results. Look at anyone who achieved something meaningful. An athlete, an entrepreneur, a scholar, a leader, and you will find the same pattern underneath their success. They did what needed to be done, even when they didn't feel like doing it. That is the difference. That is the separating line between average and exceptional. Ordinary people wait for the right mood. Extraordinary people act regardless of mood. Ordinary people avoid discomfort. Extraordinary people train themselves to embrace it. Ordinary people look for shortcuts. Extraordinary people build systems, routines, and habits. Discipline is what transforms the unconfident into the strong, the inexperienced into the skilled, the uncertain into the unstoppable. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need the perfect circumstances, but you do need discipline, because discipline creates progress, and progress creates confidence, and confidence, that creates momentum. Imagine what happens when you become the person who wakes up on time, keeps promises to themselves, completes tasks even when tired, pursues goals without excuses, practices their craft daily, stays consistent without applause, shows up even without motivation. That person cannot stay ordinary. It is impossible. Discipline changes your energy. Discipline changes your identity. Discipline changes how people see you and how you see yourself. When you start honoring your commitments, something powerful happens inside you. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to respect yourself. You begin to realize that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. And that self-trust becomes the foundation of every extraordinary achievement. The world rewards discipline far more than talent. Talent is potential. Discipline is power. Talent is a gift. Discipline is a choice. Talent may open a door, but only discipline keeps it open. So if you want to elevate your life, start here. Be consistent. Be intentional. Be disciplined. Turn your ordinary days into extraordinary habits, and you will become someone the world cannot ignore or do. People often talk about luck as if it's the deciding factor of success. They point at someone winning, someone growing, someone rising, and they whisper they were lucky. But what they don't realize is this luck is temporary. Luck is unpredictable. Luck is a moment, but success is built on something far more reliable: discipline. Luck can open a door for you, but discipline is what keeps the door from closing. Luck may give you an opportunity, but discipline is what transforms that opportunity into progress, growth, and achievement. Luck is like a spark. It flashes once. Discipline is like a flame. It burns for a lifetime. The world is full of people who got lucky once, but luck didn't last. Why? Because they had no discipline to hold on to it. The lottery winner who becomes broke again. The talented athlete who loses everything because they stop training. The gifted student who never builds a work ethic. The person who once had an opportunity but lacked the discipline to turn it into a breakthrough. On the other hand, look at people who rise slowly, steadily, quietly. They don't depend on luck. They depend on discipline. They build habits. They build routines. They build character. And over time, they create their own momentum. When discipline becomes your lifestyle, progress becomes your destiny. Luck can start your journey, but discipline carries you across the finish line. Discipline gives you the ability to show up when others quit, continue when the excitement fades, grow when circumstances change, build skills when others only talk about them, create results long after the world stops watching. Luck will rarely visit you more than once, but discipline will meet you every morning. The truth is, you don't need to catch lucky breaks. You need to become the kind of person who doesn't need luck at all, because your consistency creates results on its own. When you're disciplined, something incredible happens. You become predictable in your progress. You become stable in your growth. You become unstoppable in your journey. People often wait for the right time, the right chance, the right moment, hoping something magical will happen. But the people who accomplish great things don't wait for miracles. They build systems. They build discipline. They build consistency that eventually outperforms every lucky opportunity. You don't need a lucky break to succeed. You need disciplined habits to keep succeeding, because luck may give you a single moment of success, but discipline gives you a lifetime of it. Your future doesn't depend on chance. It depends on the actions you repeat every day. There's a truth most people never realize until life has already passed them by. Hey, extraordinary success isn't reserved for the talented, the gifted, or the lucky. It is reserved for the disciplined. The people you admire, the ones who rise above average circumstances and create remarkable results, are not superhuman. They simply practice what most people refuse to practice: consistent, sometimes boring, often uncomfortable discipline. You see, talent can make you interesting, but discipline makes you unstoppable. Talent can open a door, but discipline keeps you walking through it every single day, especially on the days when enthusiasm disappears. And it always disappears. That's why discipline is the great separator. It carries you when motivation fades, and it sharpens you when comfort tries to weaken your edge. Think about it this way: an ordinary person who shows up every day, even imperfectly, will beat a talented person who shows up occasionally. Because success is not built in giant leaps. It is built in small, consistent deposits that compound over time. Those tiny, seemingly insignificant choices: waking up early, studying an extra hour, practicing your craft, saving instead of spending, exercising when you feel tired. They accumulate, they grow, they transform you. Most people never tap into their extraordinary potential because they're waiting for a spark of inspiration instead of building habits of discipline. But inspiration is seasonal. Discipline is daily. And your future isn't shaped by what you feel once in a while. It's shaped by what you do again and again, long after the excitement is gone. Think of discipline as a silent investment. There's no applause for it, no spotlight, no instant results. At first, you'll feel like nothing is changing. But everything is. You are rewriting your identity, training your mind, hardening your resilience, building strength that becomes visible only when life tests you, and life will test you. When difficulties arise, people without discipline break down. They panic, they give up, but the disciplined, they bend, but they don't break, because they've trained their inner world long before the outer world challenged them. They've already built the habits, the mindset, and the grit needed to face storms. That's why discipline turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Not because it makes life easier, but because it makes you stronger. Not because it eliminates challenges, because it prepares you to rise above them. Discipline is the quiet architect behind every great success story, the invisible force that separates the dreamers from the doers, the almost successful from the undeniably successful. If you want to step into a life that makes you proud, remember this: your future won't be shaped by luck, but by the discipline you practice today, tomorrow, and every day that follows. In a world where everyone wants to win, but only a few are willing to work, discipline becomes the ultimate competitive advantage. It's not intelligence, not talent, not opportunity, because plenty of people have all three and still remain average. The advantage that separates the top 1% from everyone else is simple but powerful. They do what needs to be done even when they don't feel like doing it. Most people rely on emotions to guide their actions. If they feel inspired, they work. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel excited, they start something new. But the moment it gets difficult, they walk away. But the world doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards consistent execution. And the ability to execute consistently comes from discipline. Discipline gives you an edge because it frees you from the trap most people fall into, the trap of waiting. Waiting for motivation, waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, waiting for the right time. But here's the truth: if you wait for the perfect moment, you'll wait forever. The disciplined understand this. They move anyway. They take action even when the timing isn't ideal, even when the conditions aren't comfortable, even when fear whispers in their ear. This is why they advance while others stand still. Another reason discipline gives you a competitive advantage is predictability. The world knows what to expect from a talented person. Sometimes brilliance, sometimes nothing. But from a disciplined person, you get reliability, you get results, you get impact. People trust a disciplined person because they know that when challenges come, that individual won't disappear or collapse. In business, in leadership, in relationships, reliability is rare and therefore incredibly valuable. And here is something most people never consider: discipline sharpens your identity. Every time you choose the harder right over the easier habit, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Over time, those votes accumulate into character, and character builds influence. Suddenly, opportunities begin to find you because you become someone who can be counted on, someone who follows through, someone who finishes what they start. But perhaps the greatest advantage discipline gives is emotional strength. Life will challenge you. There will be seasons of pressure, disappointment, uncertainty, and loss. A life built on convenience collapses in those seasons. A life built on discipline survives them and grows because of them. Discipline trains your mind to stay steady when others panic, to stay focused when others get distracted, to stay committed when others quit. That alone places you far ahead of the crowd. The truth is simple and undeniable: discipline multiplies everything you touch. Your skills grow faster, your progress compounds deeper, your confidence rises naturally, your execution becomes sharper, and your life slowly at first, then suddenly, becomes something remarkable. In a world where most people are already choosing comfort, laziness, and excuses, discipline is the one advantage anyone can choose, but very few ever do. And that's exactly why it works.